My name is Ben Thompson. It's my honor and privilege to serve as head of lower school here at Gersdale Academy. Thank you for joining us for today's fourth grade celebration. I ask you to please rise and remain standing for the procession of our fourth grade students. I'd like to invite Tyler Cecil, Van Waugh, Parker Nevad, Alex Greenspoon, Lucy Greenspoon, Evie Leonard, Charlotte Mangum, the siblings of our fourth grade students, on stage to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the playing of the national anthem, led by our very own fourth grade students, and the invocation led by Aubrey Nevad.
I invite you to bow your heads and pray with me. Almighty God, we thank you for your many blessings you have given us, and for this day to celebrate and remember. We recognize that we are not alone in this world, and that you have provided us with parents, family, teachers, coaches, and mentors to help guide our way. Thank you for our school and its community. We ask that you watch over us, protect us, and help us to live by our Gersdale principles and embrace our leadership attributes. We thank you for and ask that you continue to help us to humble ourselves before you and respect the divine nature of life in the universe. Take full responsibility for our actions and their consequences. Be honest, ethical, moral, and true to our word. Be courageous in the face of adversity, and give us the wisdom to do the right thing. Lastly, we thank you for and honor the lives of those who came before us. We stand on their shoulders, which lift us higher to make this world a better place. Amen. Please be seated.
Welcome students, families, faculty. It is truly an honor to celebrate our fourth grade students on this beautiful morning. Joining our students on stage today are Dr. Smith, founder and chairman of the board, Mr. Polasco, president, Mrs. Luke, vice president and director of admissions, Mrs. Wargo, head of middle school, along with fourth grade instructor, Mrs. Lutton. Thank you all so much for joining us on this momentous occasion. Students, you can see that the adults in the room may have very different emotions than you do on this day. My advice to you is to be very patient with them today. Smile and take all of those pictures that you might even find annoying. You must remember that they remember when you couldn't talk, couldn't walk, couldn't tie your own shoes, or even put a belt on. Now you're able to do long division, writing cursive, coding robots, and speaking in Spanish. What I've learned over the years is that elementary school teachers live a very unique existence. Over the course of the year, they became completely intertwined with you as young people. Most days, they spend more time with you than any other human being. Speaking of time, we have all seen time slow down to a crawl, or when minutes seem to go as fast as the blink of an eye. It's hard to imagine that this school year is just a collection of minutes to which this has all transpired. Fourth grade, many of your parents have recently remarked to me about how fast this year has gone by. But have you all grown. I've watched you become more confident, growing in support of one another, accepting one another, even when you're upset with each other, or when your feelings may have been hurt. I've watched you grow creatively, making stunning works of art, or producing fantastic music with boomsticks. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? I have a few things in mind, but how about this? GOB, First Lego League, Mentors to First Grade Falcon Friends, Battle of the Books, National Spanish Exams, Rubik's Cube Clubs, Patriot Challenge, Chuck E. Cheese, a visit to fifth grade, leadership circles, grades, instruments, art fairs, weekend tournaments, math placement tests, winter concerts, Mount Vernon, football at recess, Project Linus, field day, standardized testing, kickball tournaments, flag duty, the cow, Earth Day, whole lot of gritties and a whole lot of pizza. That's a good way to measure a fourth grade year. Most importantly, this year is measured by the love you have for each other and the love that you have for something more. I look forward to hearing your stories today. With that said, I now welcome Bryson Carroll to the podium to begin today's presentations.
Good morning. My name is Bryson Carroll, and this is my first year at Gersdale Academy. Portrait leader Pele said, "Everything is practice." That inspires me because I want to get skilled at something that will make me better. Some good advice and helpful advice to future me is don't be mean to other people or they'll be mean back, and to always follow Principle 3, treat others as you want to be treated. A funny story is when Mrs. Lyon was reading a history book called Guts and Glory, and it was about the American Revolution, and we figured out that the author's name was Ben Thompson. And that is the same as our principal's name. We thought Mr. Thompson wrote it. I want to get very good at the sports I play. Pele's advice reminds me that everything I do is practice, and it will help me to get better and better. This reminder will help me to always work to reach my full potential, not just in sports, but also at school. Thank you to my family for all the time that they took to help me all year. Thank you to Miss Branham for giving us candy for standardized testing. Thank you to Mrs. Seymour for being very sweet and kind-hearted to me when I shadowed at Gerstel. Now I'm here mostly because of her. Thank you for all your attention, and I hope you have an amazing day. The next speaker will be Lou.
Good morning. My name is Lou Cecil. I have been a student at Gerstel Academy for 3 years. My favorite quote by portrait leader Michael Jordan, former Bulls shooting guard, is, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." A principle I use is take full responsibility for your actions and their consequences. This means if I make a mistake, I should admit and accept the result. This way I learn to do the right thing. A funny leadership experience was when Leadership Larry brought out the bucket of truth during leadership circle. I will always remember Principle 2 to be honest, ethical, moral, and true to my word because he made it memorable and easy to understand. Someday I will have to make sure that Leadership Larry and Mr. Pelasco are in the same room so that everyone can be convinced that they are different people. I am looking forward to middle school, and I will always strive to remember what Michael Jordan said, so I remember to take chances and not be scared if I get it wrong. I would like to thank my parents for sending me and my brother to the school. I would like to thank Miss Kahn for teaching me and my classmates about our bodies and science, and for being such a kind teacher. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Pocalembo for teaching me games so I can play with my brother at home and teach the games to my cousins. Thank you all for listening. Next to speak is Nina.
Good morning. My name is Mina. I have attended Gerstel Academy for the past 5 years. In kindergarten, Ms. Holthaus provided me with the tools necessary to reach my full potential, and so have my other teachers. Portrait leader and educational activist Malala Yousafzai said, "Let us pick up our books and our pens. They are the most powerful weapons." I try to live by it because I believe learning and the knowledge along with our principles and attributes are very important to a successful future. The advice I want to give myself for middle school is to check the portal or my email agenda, to study more for tests, to also persevere throughout middle school. One thing I learned this year is that Noah is not just a name. It is Miss Lutton's many way of saying N-O, no. This usually happens when we pester her for candy, a dance party, or a nap. I think she says it that way to make a point. I'm going to continue to live by the quote, "Let us pick up our books and our pens, they're the most powerful weapons." Because throughout middle school and beyond, because learning is vital for a good and happy life, is the only way any of us can make sure that we are prepared to speak up for ourselves. Thank you to Miss Pugh for teaching me how to type faster and faster, and for showing me new and fun things every class. Thank you to Mr. Pelasco for letting Leadership Larry come and talk to us during Leadership Circle. He's a lot of fun, even though he can't grow a real mustache, and he has a funny accent. Leadership Larry has taught us some great lessons, and I hope he will come visit us in middle school too. Thank you to my dad and brother for always helping me with projects, and for my mom for sending me to this wonderful school. And thank you to everyone for coming. Now we'll hear from Mateo.
Good morning. My name is Mateo Diaz. This is my second year at Gerstel. Portrait leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "We want all our rights. We want them here. We want them now." Leadership attribute P was very useful to me this year because I had to persevere when we learned how to work with decimals. And I know that middle school will be a lot harder. It was really cool that all of the 4th grade memorized the Patriots Challenge, and a couple weeks ago, We presented it at Leadership Circle. We instructed the whole lower school about the American Revolution and how our country strives to have justice for all. Dr. King demanded his rights, justice and his rights. He had brown skin, and we learned that people with brown skin were treated unfairly. So his words remind me of principle number 3, to treat others as I want to be treated, to always treat people fairly. Thank you to my parents for sending me to Gerstel, where I can learn in a room full of llamas, even if they are not my favorite. Thank you to Miss Smith for helping us with taking down the flags in the afternoons and for the treats. I also want to thank Miss Kennedy for being there at recess and making up fun games on First Friday at the beginning of the year. Thank you for your kind attention to my speech. We will now hear from my friend, Edward. Good job. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Edward Greenspoon, and I have been a student at Gerstel Academy for 6 years. I like many things, but I am inspired by portrait leader Albert Einstein. He once said that a ship is always safe at the shore, but that is not what it is built for. This means that I should take risks for a good cause, even if it is hard. I have taken many risks in my life, and most have been worth it. Sometimes it didn't go well, so I learned a valuable lesson. Don't upset your parents. A funny story in 4th grade was the day that Miss Ludden made what I thought was a really funny joke, and I laughed straight through the next class. Big mistake. Anyway, future me, please check the portal, and when answering written questions, always use complete sentences. That is definitely worth it. Even though I will miss lower school, and I am a little nervous about middle school, I am ready to continue my education in middle school and beyond. Remembering Albert Einstein's words, I will continue to take good risks as I work to reach my full potential, because courage is acting in the face of fear. Thank you, Ms. Weiner, for helping me through my first year at Gerstel and then again in 2nd grade. Thank you, Ms. Daly, for listening to my Thank you, Ms. Daly, for teaching me to play music and to read music notes. Finally, thank you all for listening to my lower school farewell speech. Next up, middle school. We will now hear from Lala. So nerve-wracking.
Good morning. My name is Lala Gradnitsky. I have been a student at Gerstel for 1 year. General George Washington said, "Make sure you're doing what God wants you to do, then do it with all your strength." He means make sure you're doing the right thing and do whatever it takes for things to be right. Make sure you always listen, especially when Miss Lund tells you to check the portal. Don't make your teachers repeat things more than once. Don't give them a hard time when they are teaching you, and if your teacher asks you to be quiet, listen and be quiet. It is hard to tell if a question is or is not rhetorical when you're not listening well. A fun experience my classmates and I had in 4th grade was going to Chuck E. Cheese after finishing the Patriot Challenge. We got to play for so long and get so many prizes. It was really fun to go with Miss Zito and Dr. Smith, but most of all with my whole class. I was the last one to complete the Patriot Challenge, and I am grateful to my classmates and Miss Ludden who encouraged me to finish it so that I could go. Thank you, Mom, for letting me practice it with you. I loved PE with Mr. Poklamba. I'm really going to miss him and all the fun activities we did. He always figured out something when the red room and gym were taken. I'm going to miss seeing llamas every day in my classroom, and I'm going to miss Miss Ludden. She always helped me when I needed help with math, reading, or anything. Thank you. General George Washington's quote is a great reminder. For example, if someone is hurt, don't just stand there. Persevere to get help from an adult, and keep trying until they help and listen. Thank you to my awesome parents for letting me come to this school. I want to thank Miss Estes for teaching me art, always helping me when I ask you for help, so basically every class.
and I'm so glad that you will be my art teacher next year. I also want to thank Miss Daub. Thank you for always having fun with us at the library with Falcon Friends. You're always so kind to everybody, so thank you for being this way. I hope that I will still have fun with you next year. Thank you for listening to my speech. I'm really grateful for this year and excited for next year. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. We will now hear from Emily.
Good morning. My name is Emily Haga. I have been a student at Gristell Academy for 3 years. Portrait leader Martha Graham was a famous dancer, and she became a famous dance teacher. Martha Graham said, "Great dancers are not great because of their technique. They are great because of their passion." I will live by this quote because I am a dancer, and I am great with technique. And in the past, I was not good with passion. And if the technique or choreography was too hard, I would say, "That is really hard," or "I can't do this." Now I just try again. I think of this quote as a reminder that I can do it, because having passion means to love what you do and to persevere to try again. Martha used the word passion, which reminds me of one of the principles: approach every endeavor with passion, conviction, and persistence. It is nice that that relates to our principles here at Gristell Academy. The best advice I can give myself is to study my math facts more and make more time in my afternoons to study for my spelling tests. I also learned to check the portal every day. I have a funny story to tell you. So while we were writing these speeches in class, Miss Linton's computer accidentally gave her a loud warning, and we all thought it was a lockdown because the computer made the sound that Miss Linton made when we practiced lockdowns. We all ran to the corner and held her up, and then she said it was an accident. If it was a real lockdown, we probably would have been noticed by the person, because not all of us went to the corner and we were very loud. In middle school, I want to bring along principle number 7, work to reach your full potential, and attribute E, example. Thank you, Ms. Brockmeyer, for bringing me through my first year of lower school and teaching me what I needed to know about the years ahead of me. I am so grateful to Ms. Brockmeyer for her teaching and for all the fun activities that she had planned for us to do in first grade. I also want to thank everyone in facilities for setting up the gym so we could have a 4th grade celebration. Thank you to my parents for caring enough to send me to the school and letting me have my friends over. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for being a patient audience. Next to speak will be Connor.
Good morning. My name is Connor Leonard, professional 4th grader, and I have been at Gristell for 5 years. Portrait leader Barack Obama said, "If you run, you stand a chance at losing, but if you don't, you've already lost." I like what the former president says because it says, if you don't try, you've already lost, but if you try, you could win. So I always strive to persevere and not to give up. The advice I find very helpful is to read all the directions, listen to Miss Lutton, also my other teachers, and always check the portal because it is my responsibility to do my work. I heard amazing leadership stories when we were at Mount Vernon. A man dressed like Tobias there, George Washington's personal secretary, talked to us about General Washington and what he did in his life and how he showed leadership in his actions. We learned about the general in class, but it was cool to hear examples from someone who spoke as if he knew him when he was alive. Mom and Dad, thank you for supporting me throughout the school year. Thank you, Ms. Chagas, for making sure we have books and textbooks. Thank you, Ms. Holthouse, for giving me a warm welcome into the school. Thank you for your attention. Our next speaker is my brother, Nathan.
Good morning. My name is Nathan Leonard, and I've been a student at Gristell Academy for 5 years. Walt Disney once said that all of our dreams can come true if we have enough courage to pursue them. That quote inspires me because it says to be brave and achieve your dreams, even if you are scared to try and want to give up. Good advice is to always be prepared, triple check your work, and use your resources because you can find mistakes. You should also love llamas. I will always remember when I was in first grade, all alone on the playground, and Edward asked if I wanted to play. Of course, I said yes. That day we had a lot of fun. Now we are best friends because of his kindness. He used attributes S, sincerity, because it was from the heart, A, action, because he could have done nothing. He also used principle number 3, treat others as you want to be treated, because he would have wanted someone to play with him, not be alone. He also used principle number 9, Be thankful for and generous with your time, talents, and treasures because he spent his time playing with me. The Walt Disney quote I was talking about earlier is related to me because I will continue to persevere to finish hard assignments and do other difficult things. Thank you to my mom and dad for helping me throughout my lower school years. I also want to thank Dr. Smith for creating the principles and attributes to help all of us become leaders. He is also kind and friendly by saying hi in the hall and always asking how I'm doing. Well, that's my speech, so thanks for listening. I hope you have a little amazing day. Now we will hear from Kendall.
Good morning. My name is Kendall Mangum, and I have been a Gersdale student for 2 years now, and I have enjoyed them so much. I've made a lot of friends too. Portrait leader Malala Yousafzai once said, "If we want to achieve our goal, then let us empower ourselves with the weapon of knowledge, and let us shield ourselves with unity and togetherness." I will live by this quote by going the extra mile and striving to learn more and more each day. I'm also living by this quote now by paying attention in class and fixing mistakes too. I think some advice I have for myself for this new chapter in my life is to always listen, attribute L, and to always follow principle number 7, work to reach your full potential, because the lessons and work will be harder next year. My favorite field trip this year was to Mount Vernon, General Washington's home. One thing I learned on this trip was to never call him by his first name unless you're a close friend of his. And since he is no longer alive, I should always refer to him as General Washington. Thank you to my parents for helping me persevere throughout these 2 years and encouraging me through tough challenges. Thank you to Mr. Thompson for getting me out of the car in the mornings and always welcoming me into the building with a warm welcome. Thank you to Senora Condori for always letting us play Loteria after our lessons and sometimes watch Tom and Jerry. Have an amazing rest of your day. Next you will hear from Aubrey.
Good morning. My name is Aubrey Nevad. I've been a student at Gersdale for 5 years, and I'm very excited to start my 5th year at Gersdale. Portrait leader Walt Disney said, "If you dream it, you can do it." It reminds me of Gersdale's attribute P, perseverance. There are 2 principles that led me throughout my 4 years of lower school. The first is principle number 5, strive for a positive attitude and be civil at all times. Because even if you're upset, you should still strive to be positive. The other is principle 2. In 3rd grade, Miss Culbertson taught us reminders for the principles and attributes. Hemp is a great reminder for being honest, ethical, moral, and true to your word. I will take my principles and attributes into middle school. A funny thing that happened during 4th grade was on the bus ride to Mount Vernon, Lala's dad threw back a bunch of bags of candy, and we were all sugared up. I think it was the first time I actually said I was sick of candy. A memory that we will all remember is when everyone in the class had finished the Patriots Challenge, and Lala had one more day to finish it, and we all cheered her on. It was great because we became the first 4th grade class to have all students finish in recent history. We all went to Chuck E. Cheese together as a class, and it was great. So going back to my quote, "If you dream it, you can do it," by Walt Disney, is relatable because when you're struggling to reach your goal, you have to gather up all your courage to reach your goal of pursuing it. Like when I'm struggling to score a goal at my soccer games, I gather up all my courage and pursue my shot on goal. I would like to thank my family for all your love and support during my years of Gersdale Academy Lower School. Thank you, Mr. Gorley, for being nice and fun and always allowing us to hang out in your room and have fun in your office. I would also like to thank Ms. Ludden for creating fun lessons like escape rooms and bringing us out to the outdoor classroom. Next we'll hear from Reed.
Good morning. My name is Reed Pitler, and this is my first year at Gersdale. Portrait leader Tiger Woods said, "No matter how good you get, you can always get better," and that's the exciting part. That quote inspired me because it reminded me to keep going even when I think I'm already good at something, because I can always improve. A leadership principle that I use this year is number 5. Strive for a positive attitude and be civil at all times. I was new this year, and it was hard to make friends with my new classmates who have been together for many years. It is important to always keep a positive attitude, and treating others as I want to be treated helped me to be kind even when things went wrong. My favorite thing this year was the Patriot Challenge reward of going to Chuck E. Cheese because we got so many tokens and there were only 3 people there besides us. We basically had the whole place to ourselves. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for the private party. I learned an important lesson about responsibility this year. I was out sick for a week and I did not check the portal at all. The day I came back, I forgot my llama folder and I did not have any of my work. So the big lesson when you are absent, check the portal and do all your work while absent if you can. Thank you to my parents for sending me to Gerstel this year, and thank you to Mrs. Klenzer for making all the cool lower school bulletin boards. Those kindergarten kids are really talented. Thank you, Mrs. Mummert, for getting the pre-K kids ready for their years at Gerstel. Tell them they will need to love llamas when they get to 4th grade. Thank you for listening. Now we'll hear from Liam.
Good morning. I am Liam Pausen, and I have been at Gerstel for 5 years. The Gerstel Academy portrait leader and famous football coach Vince Lombardi said, "Perfection is not attainable, but if you chase perfection, you can catch excellence." That quote will help me in my future because it reminds me to never give up during tough times and always chase my dreams in middle school and beyond. My advice to middle school Liam is to always treat others as I want to be treated. This is the most important thing that I have learned in lower school. A great leadership experience was going to Bisstown. It was cool and amazing to see how people worked for the mayor at City Hall. It was hard because I worked for the mayor. We had to write lots of checks and make sure the citizens of Bisstown were happy. Vince Lombardi's words are very important to me. I will do my best to remember that if I try my best, I might not do a perfect job, but I might do an excellent job. It goes very well with principle number 7, work to reach your full potential, and I intend to continue to do that. I am thankful for Miss Culberton for teaching me math so I could do better in 4th grade. Thank you, Miss Snyder, for teaching me about outer space and for all the fun projects. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for sending me to Gerstel and always supporting me for what I do in and out of school. Thank you for attending this fun celebration. Our next speaker is Kyle.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Kyle Studer. I've been a student at Gerstel Academy for 5 years. I chose portrait leader Jim Brown. I chose him because he was one of the best lacrosse and football players in the entire world, and I really want to become a great lacrosse player too. Jim Brown said, "Success is not only for the elite. Success is there for those who want it, plan for it, and take action to achieve it." This quote reminds me of principle number 7, work to reach your full potential. It also reminds me of attribute A, action. Middle school is going to be tough, but I'm going to need to persevere and work to reach my full potential. I have experienced leadership many times during my time at Gerstel. The best example is Dr. Smith. He created this school from an idea he had. He took action so that teachers would come to Gerstel and instruct us. Dr. Smith is generous with his time, talents, and treasures because he still gives a lot of his time to us here at Gerstel. I think that a great form of leadership is attribute E, example, because when we see someone doing the right thing or following the leadership principles and attributes, we learn about how to lead our best lives in the future. Thank you to my family for helping me with my schoolwork when I needed it. Thank you, Ms. Stewart, for helping all of us to have what we need to succeed in our classrooms and for being a substitute during testing. Thank you, Mr. Haggart, for being a sports role model because you have passion, conviction, and persistence as a Bills fan, even though I won't say go Bills. Thank you all for listening to my speech. Next to speak is Cash Wall.
Good morning. My name is Cash Wall. I've been a Gerstel Academy student for 5 years. Portrait leader Jackie Robinson said, "It does not matter how slow you go as long as you don't stop." That means to me that I should not stop, just keep going, even if I think I can't do it. The best advice I could give to my future Cash is this: make sure you take full responsibility for your actions and their consequences. If I do something wrong or make a mistake, I have to own it. I also need to be prepared for class every day, and the best way is to check the portal or my agenda on my own. In the future, I will make sure I have my folder every day, because one time I forgot it and I lost easy points even though I'd done my homework. Jackie Robinson's words make sense to me, because when I had to do a science project, I had to build a planet and I thought I could not do it, but I persevered and I finished it. I even thought I got a good grade on it. A huge thanks to my parents for helping me with everything, and my mom for being the class parent, my classmates, and I appreciate the treats very much. Thank you to Ms. Valadon for helping me when I'm hurt, and Ms. Eisman for helping me count to 100 and learn my ABCs. I would not have passed 4th grade without knowing that stuff. I'm going to miss Leadership Larry. Thank you all for listening to my speech. That concludes our speeches. Next to speak is our teacher, Ms. Lutton.
How about another round of applause for these guys? They did it. Thank you, Cash. Good morning. My name is Patty Lutton, and I am excited to be here today to celebrate our 4th graders' transition to middle school. I'm not ready, are you? Okay, they are. This school year has been an amazing one, and I am so proud of each and every one of my students behind me. I also chose George Washington. As George Washington once said, education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. And that is what we have been working on all year long, unlocking the doors to knowledge and learning. I may not have said it quite like that, but I think you get my drift. I've been teaching for a few years now, and I have learned that my job isn't just to stand up here and talk at my students all day long, for the most part. Instead, I try to create an environment where they can learn and grow on their own, with appropriate pauses to listen for directions, but other than that, for them to learn on their own. I'm happy to say that every one of them has done just that in one time or another. Despite some challenges we faced this year, they all have shown a love for learning that I hope will stay with them for years to come. They haven't just memorized the principles and attributes of Gerstel Academy. They have taken them to them. In addition to the Patriot Challenge, which is a long-standing Gerstel Academy 4th grade tradition, the class of 2031 took on the Citizenship Challenge this year. They began preparation for this challenge during homeroom in February, and on May 23rd, all 15 members of the class answered the 100 questions that are part of the United States Naturalization Exam. I took this exam back in 1990. As many of you know, I am a naturalized citizen. I was not lucky enough to be born here. I chose to be an American. The U.S. immigration test is not an easy one for most adults. However, I am pleased to report that even though the officially required passing score is a 60%, all of our 4th graders passed the exam with scores ranging from 81 to 90 questions. When I took the exam, I had to answer 10. When most people take the exam, we answer 10 or 20, depending on our age. Thank you for that applause, because they had no idea. They answered all 100. I was surprised, however, to learn that there were no questions about llamas. Were you guys surprised about that?
No.
Oh, okay, well, they would have all had 100% if there were. But seriously, this was the first year for this challenge, and I felt their hard work, and through their hard work and perseverance, these students have demonstrated their commitment to achieving their full potential and to the principles of our great nation. I am so proud of each and every one of you. No matter what I said in the classroom earlier, super proud. I know that you will continue to approach every endeavor with passion, conviction, and persistence as you move through middle school and beyond. Thank you to all of the parents and families who have supported us throughout this year. You have been a big part of our success, and we could not have done it without you. Thank you, Dr. Smith, Mr. Palasko, Mr. Thompson, and dear colleagues, for your faith and support. Congratulations to the class of 2031. Moving on to middle school, they're all yours, Mrs. Wargo. I would like to invite Kendall and Reed up to the podium to present the class gift.
The fourth, wait. I'm short. The fourth grade class would like to express our appreciation to the entire lower school faculty and staff by donating commemorative brick on behalf of the fourth grade class. The brick is slated 2022 to 2023, the amazing fourth grade class of 2031. The brick will be seated in front of the Carolyn B. Smith Hall facing the quad.
Thank you, lower school faculty, for all your support and encouragement for helping us grow as students and leaders. We would also like to thank Dr. Smith and Mr. Palasko for supporting this idea, for all they have done throughout our lower school journey. We ask Mr. Thompson to step forward to receive this gift from the fourth grade class.
Heavy. Yeah, I figured that. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Lift it up. That's really nice. Ooh. Thank you, Kendall and Reed, for this generous gift. I'd like to invite Mr. Palasko to the podium to present the Lower School Leadership Award. Is there one that lowers? Yeah, because all right, we'll make it work. I loved how our students thanked our faculty, our lower school faculty members. I've always thought of lower school teachers as magicians. Our children go to elementary school, they can't read, they can't write, they don't know their colors, and then they come out and they know fractions, and they can pass the citizenship test and do all these wonderful things. And so please join me in thanking our lower school faculty. I'd like to thank Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Seymour, and Ms. Smith for your patience and all your hard work behind the scenes to make this year wonderful. Please join me in thanking them. There we go. The Leadership Award is presented to the fourth grade student who best demonstrates the Gerstel Academy principles and leadership attributes. The recipient of this award is selected by lower school faculty and administration in recognition of exemplary leadership qualities. A little bit about the process. So it starts with the lower school faculty nominating deserving students. I'm happy to say that over 60% of the students behind me were nominated. Then half of those students had enough support, enough nominations to sort of make it to stage 2. And in stage 2, there's a committee of lower school teachers that submitted and shared out with their faculty a survey. It's called, and it's scored on what's called a Likert scale. And so it's sent out to all the lower school teachers, and those teachers fill that out, and then the teachers who taught all the 4th graders this year, okay, Mrs. Lutton and our special teachers, did an additional form, and then that committee took all that information, they deliberated over all of that, and then they got down to a finalist group. That finalist group, the committee reviewed those students, and they evaluated them on leadership aspects, including adherence to the leadership attributes and principles, academic effort, leadership conduct, traditional leadership skills, and the mentoring and coaching of others. Each faculty member submitted an anonymous online ballot which ranked the final candidates. Based upon all the information from the entire process of the candidate and faculty feedback, along with deliberation, the committee discussed the finalists and respectfully presented their recommendation to Dr. Smith and myself, which we accepted. Here's a little bit about what the faculty said about this year's winner. This student is that light for other students to follow when lost. This student remains positive and civil even in difficult situations. The student has a sincere smile on their face all day. The student encourages others to do their best and sees the good in other people. The student works to reach their full potential by participating in extra leadership activities. This student consistently applies leadership principle number 3 when interacting with classmates and other students, and leadership principle number 1 when interacting with adults. The student is always respectful and demonstrates a positive attitude. This student works to reach their full potential, is kind to others, and always willing to help if there's a need. The student is one of the hardest working students in the class. They know that they have mountains to climb when it comes to learning, but they're persistent and they persevere. This student is amazing and kind. These are all words from the faculty, not just the 4th grade teacher and teachers as well, but our full faculty. So I really appreciate your insight and your participation in this process. This student is an amazing and kind student. On Earth Day, this student was very helpful with their Falcon friend and went out of the way to make sure that their Falcon friend had all the materials they needed to participate. I loved watching your speeches, 4th graders, because each time I would look for your family, and each time you spoke, you'd see the cameras go up, and they'd be filming you, which is really cool. So hopefully you get a chance to watch that later. Our winner this morning, their family had 5 members recording their speech. I counted 5. There were maybe 6 or 7 of them, and 5 of them felt the need to record it, which I thought was a big deal. I'm pleased to present the 2022-2023 Leadership Award to Mina Deli. Congratulations. Come up front here for a picture. This is for you. Come on front here. Thank you, Mr. Pelasco. Congratulations, Mina. Some closing remarks to the amazing 4th grade class of 2031. Always remember that a leader is in each one of you. Being a leader means stepping into a challenge, even if the end outcome can result in failure. While you may be a little nervous about middle school, trust in yourself and find your own individual way to be a leader, even though you're a 5th grader. On behalf of the lower school faculty, thank you for your flexibility. Thank you for your honesty, your curiosity, your passion. Most importantly, thank you for being you. Please know that I will always have a firm handshake, an elbow or fist bump, or even a hug if you need it sometimes. We'll all be here for help when you need it and advice for when you seek it. We'll be here for a reminder of where you came from or a break from the journey to where you're headed next. We'll be there with love and support anytime you come looking for it. I would again like to emphasize how proud I am of all of our student leaders, and I would like to acknowledge all of our lower school faculty, Mr. Polasco. I'd like to ask them to please stand, but hold your applause, please. So lower school faculty, please stand up. Come on up, come on. Fourth grade students, would you please rise to express appreciation to the lower school faculty? Thank you, everyone. I want you to know, and many of you in this room know, but these teachers serve as additional parents, empathetic communicators, patient and compassionate listeners, mentors, advocates, and sometimes aggravating enforcers. I would like to also express appreciation by acknowledging the opportunity Dr. Smith has provided to each of us through his vision. I also like to express appreciation to Mr. Polasco for his leadership. He has provided for our administration, our faculty, students, and our families. Also, thank you, Mrs. Luke, for all your guidance and support and all those cold mornings. In the lower school, nothing would be possible without the leadership of Ms. Smith back there in the back, coupled with the assistance of Mrs. Seymour. Mrs. Daly, thank you for your help with the music for our ceremony today, along with Mrs. Molesworth for pictures and Mr. Stem for the live stream today. Mr. Scholes, who is our Director of Facilities, and his staff have once again transformed this gymnasium into a venue for today's celebration. Thank you, parents, for your partnership as well. In closing, fourth grade students, be determined to fill every moment with hope, attribute H. Most of all, fill it with love. Make sure you love your family, love each other, love what you do, and make sure you love yourself. We will now conclude our ceremony with the singing of our alma mater, led by our fourth grade students. We invite you to please stand and remain standing for the recession of our fourth grade treasures. In the back there, please join us for light refreshments, and on the big screen behind you is a special presentation immediately following this ceremony. Thank you.
We are mighty Gerstel Academy, falcons flying proud and free. Alongside honor and courage, this is how we strive to lead. Our principles and attributes for all the world to see. We love Gerstel Academy, leadership for you and me. Go Falcons!
You guys ready?